weren't roommates or childhood besties, or even that close at first.
We met in a 1 Corinthians 13 small group and basically trauma bonded over being the unfun friends.
Not the ones who take the shots. We're the ones who carry the Band-Aids.
We're not the ones who flirt at brunch, but we're the ones overthinking the group text.
But we're done apologizing for being deep. The unfun friends, let's talk about it. We dive into the real stuff no one's texting about.
Singleness, faith, body image, mental health, autoimmune struggles, grief, burnout, friendships, and so much more.
With a little chaos, a little candor, and a lot of comfort.
This one's for the girls who feel like too much and not enough all at the same time. So, let's talk about it.
Hey guys, welcome to the Unfun Friends podcast, episode 1. We're so glad you're here. We're really excited. We're also a little nervous, but
Definitely nervous.
we're ready.
It's going to be so fun.
So today, for episode 1, we just thought it would be fitting to talk about friendship.
Yes.
Which honestly, I feel like is kind of a hard topic just because it's so,
Definitely.
like, we want to talk about it well.
Well, there's so much that goes into it, and I also feel like it's very situational.
Yeah.
And circumstantial.
Yeah.
But I don't think we can have a podcast called Unfun Friends and not go into why it's called that, and also not talk about friendship. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you want to tell them a little about like our origin story and like how we're gonna start today, just to kind of like
tie
it in?
Yeah. So, well, I guess we need to introduce ourselves.
That would probably be helpful.
I'm Ella.
I'm Madeline.
We're your hosts.
Yeah.
Madeline and I met in a small group on our college campus. We go to Stanford.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's a 1 Corinthians 13 small group. And we knew of each other because the family that I nanny for went to the same CrossFit gym as Madeline. And so we followed each other on Instagram.
Like, knew each other's faces, but like never actually had like a conversation before.
And so when we were in this small group, Madeline initiated, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, you're Ella, you nanny for blah, blah, blah." And then kind of the rest is history. Yeah. But I guess we can go into like, why the unfun friends? What
Wait,
sparks
we're not
that
going to
title?
open with 1 Corinthians 13?
Oh yeah, we did say we were going to do that.
Okay, guys, pause.
Okay, you go into the context of that.
Okay, so this small group we were in, it's on 1 Corinthians 13, and we go in on Thursdays. I think at the time it was on a Tuesday, but we go in at 3, and then the practice is where you go and you read 1 Corinthians 13 through in its entirety, and then you sit in silence for like 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I'm ADHD, so like the first few times I did it, it absolutely killed me because I just was like, did not know how to sit there in silence. Yeah. But now here we are in our third year doing the cadre, and I wouldn't have it any differently because now I crave that time of just actually sitting and meditating on the word. Yeah. But anyways, and then at the end of our small group time, we would close with reading the passage again. So just like today, in honor of like that being the way we met, and kind of also the professor who led that small group encouraged us to start the podcast, and it was kind of her idea for us to start one. So it's kind of like,
and the premise of the small group was just to be a safe place to like meditate on the word and that specific passage, but also just
be honest and vulnerable.
Yeah. And that's kind
encourage
of
conversation.
Premise of this podcast now. So
so we just figured it'd be fun to kind of like structure our first episode after that.
Yeah. So do you want me to open with it and then you can close with it?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right.
Here we go.
1 Corinthians 13. If I speak human or angelic tongues, but do not have love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so that I can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. And if I give away all my possessions, and if I give over my body in order to boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient, love is kind. Love does not envy, is not boastful, is not arrogant, is not rude, is not self-seeking, is not irritable, and does not keep a record of wrongs. Love finds no joy in unrighteousness, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends, but as for prophecies, they will come to an end. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will come to an end. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when the perfect comes, the partial will come to an end. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put aside childish things. For now we see only a reflection, as in a mirror, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I will know fully, as I am fully known. Now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love.
Okay, now we're not going to sit here and like force us all to sit in silence together. But if you want to do it and just kind of see what that's like,
Yeah.
Pause now and then come back in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Hey, now that you're back from your pause 3 minutes. Anyways,
that's good.
We just love 1 Corinthians 13, and just I think at least for me, after going at least once a week and reading over it and meditating on it, it reveals so much just about love and how all-encompassing it is. And then like the different ways you'll kind of like fill at it every day, or just like in different weeks, or you might struggle with one section more than another one. So it's a great way of kind of self-checking. And also that passage is just a great foundation for being a good friend, for friendship, and like what a healthy Christ-like friendships look like. Yeah. So I actually think it's good that we started with that.
Yeah. And just a good passage to mirror Christ's love, because you can put God's name in, like, love is patient, love is kind, God is patient, God is kind, and also kind of a fun exercise to put your own name in there. But just a good passage to practice and mirror. And in our small group, we kind of talked about like how it's a muscle, like you have to practice, exercise, work at it in order to grow it. And so it's been a cool like challenge for us in our friendship and other friendships, and just in our relationship with the Lord, to definitely practice that and grow in it. Yeah.
Very cool.
Friendship.
Yeah. Okay, so typically what we're thinking for our episodes is that we'll start with like a little icebreaker. We're not always going to start with words, guys. 1 Corinthians 13. But we will always start with an icebreaker. So this week's icebreaker is: what is the most like unconventional way you've ever like made a friend, or like became someone's friend?
Yeah. So when I moved to Birmingham, because I'm actually from Texas, I went to a small group because I was trying to make friends. I literally knew nobody. And this girl, her name's Riley. I'm sure she'll be a guest on the pod at some point. But we were like walking up at the same time, and she was crying. And so I was like, I was also having a really horrible day. I think I had just been crying. And so I was like, do you need a hug? And she was like, yes. And so I gave her a hug. And then we just kind of like trauma dumped really quick. And the rest is history. I was just in her wedding.
So sweet. Oh, yeah. That's right. That's
so sweet. So
perfect. I love that. You? For me, I feel like I've done this, I want to say a good bit, but ever since I got into college, I love a good concert. I'm kind of like a concert junkie. I spend too much money on it. But this was back in my freshman year, and I was at my sorority's initiation, and I just overheard this girl talking about Steven Sanchez. And like I knew that he was going to be in town like either like in the next few weeks. And so I was like, hey, sorry to just eavesdrop, but like I heard you were talking about Steven Sanchez. Do you want to go to the concert? Because I've been looking for somebody to go with. She's like, no way, me too. We were like, okay, great. And so we both went, and then now we're still friends. So
how many times did y'all like see each other from that point until the concert?
I don't think we did.
Oh, perfect.
I think we just kind of pulled up.
Yeah.
And it was so fun.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
But it was a fun way to just kind of like go bond, have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, love it.
So just go to random people, guys. It's great.
Yeah. And she was in our cadre, wasn't she?
No, Ava wasn't in our cadre, but she knew a lot of
She was in my class with the professor.
Oh, that's right.
The cadre.
Yes.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Shout out Ava O'Dowd. We love her.
Fun time. Sweet friend.
Hey, what's the first thing you kind of want to jump into with friendship?
Well, when I was journaling about friendship and just kind of like points to touch on and conversation starters, and just kind of an overflow, 1 Corinthians 13. But I was thinking about like good friendship comes from an overflow of like our relationship with the Lord. What?
We never told them why we're called them fun friends.
Oh, we got to backtrack.
Oops.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, what did I say? Why are you looking at me like that?
So I was like, wait, something's missing. Okay, so we're called the Unfun Friends.
Episode 1, baby.
So we're called the Unfun Friends, and I feel like in a way it's kind of us reclaiming insecurity, or just kind of something we like laughed about. But what does it mean to you, like when you say like, hey, we're the Unfun Friends? Like what to you, like what does that name carry?
Yeah. Well, I think our friendship like really grew when like our masks came off, and there was that like vulnerability and intentionality. And kind of putting aside the like worldly desire for like status or like we talked about entertainment being
popularity,
putting that aside and like really getting into the
like
depths.
the nitty-gritty and like the hard stuff, and just kind of letting that coexist with the joy. And sometimes that's from a worldly standard isn't seen as the most fun thing to do, but I see it as one of the most fulfilling.
100%. And I was thinking about this too, like thinking about our friendship, we're not always going to remember the details of like parties we went to for like different campus things or like dinners, but like I'll always remember conversations like when I wasn't doing well or like when I was sick and you like DoorDashed me soup. Like
the little tiny details is what really matters.
Yeah.
Or like you, if I'm like, I'm having a bad day, and just like, you know what? I'm not going to go to class. I'm just going to sit with you and like love on you. Little things like that will stick with me forever. And I feel like that builds that agape love, like the love God calls us to have, and like the Christ-like friendships. So that's kind of where our name Unfun Friends comes from.
Let's talk about the insecurity piece really quick. I think we both like struggled with we want something deeper.
Yeah, like intention, understanding, not necessarily entertainment and like just for giggles.
Yeah. And in our culture, it's really easy to just have this pressure to just entertain and be fun and friendship.
Like all the time. Like to be on all the time, I should say. You know?
Yeah.
Like save face.
Yeah. And so learning how like true connection grows in the nitty gritty of life and like the sitting with each other in the lows.
Yeah.
And
kind of learning to sit with that and how that can be a strength. And so what if it's unfun?
And that vulnerability and like getting real on things is a strength too. And even though it's not considered fun, it's like you said, fulfilling.
Yeah. So that's kind of like, honestly, I feel like the title at least is like somewhat evolving. Like I'm sure like if you ask us in a little bit, it's like, okay, why do you think you're like an unfun friend? At our age, it will probably change.
Yeah.
But anyways, tell us why you think.
Yeah.
It's unfun.
Yeah, what comes to mind when you think of unfun friend?
Or have you ever felt like an unfun friend?
Yeah.
Okay, back to the regularly scheduled program.
That's so great. But yeah, just a friendship coming from an overflow of like our relationship with the Lord. And so the question that like was on my heart, and I'm pretty sure I've read this somewhere and it just like came back to me, but the question was, how does knowing Jesus loves you first change the way you approach friendships? And I just thought that was really beautiful. Of like, are you approaching friendships from a place of like pressure, insecurity, fear, or is it an actual overflow of your relationship with the Lord?
No, I literally had a similar question to that. I was like, why is Jesus-centered friendships? Why do they seem and like feel deeper and safer? I feel like those go in tangent together.
Yeah.
I think because, at least for me, when I am more focused on my faith, and also like when I have become friends with other people focused on my faith versus times where I was not and my friends were not, I feel like in a Christian-centered friendship, there's a lot more grace there and there's a lot more understanding, because you're not only looking at issues you may like come to, or like your friend and like things they're going through, or like even just like your friendship, like your interactions. You're not just looking through it with your own discernment and your own mind, but you're looking at it by like giving it to God and being like, okay, here's what I'm thinking, here's what I'm feeling, but like Lord, what is true about this, and help me like discern and like sort through that. And also I feel like you have that common bond and desire to please God first. And also I feel like a lot more of your like values will align,
for sure,
which I feel like helps. What about you?
No, I agree with that. It just was going back to the scripture. It's 1 John 4:19. We love because he first loved us. And it's like, I cannot be a good friend if it's not coming from an overflow of like, that's my source.
Such a thing, there's room.
Love.
There's not room, and also we can't be perfectly loving.
Right.
And we have zero shot if we don't even try with God.
Right. Know? For sure. Yeah. And when I'm like trying to be a friend out of my own like selfishness, it's
burnout. You're going to burn out.
Yeah.
And
also, it's not going to be loving.
A wholesome, and is it a true like love?
Yeah. That's good.
Agreed.
And I think with that, like when you're choosing your friends, like that idea of, not that idea, it's biblical. Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, Proverbs 27:17. I have it marked, guys.
Yeah.
Because I just need to read it. I try to read this time to time just because, well, it's short and it's true. And it's just literally iron sharpens iron and one man sharpens another. So
yeah. And my pastor always says, like, show me your friends and I'll tell you your future, or show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And
Exactly.
it's the idea of like
kind of you are who you hang around type deal.
Yeah. And it's important. Like
It
as
is.
believers and as friends, being a loving friend, like we're supposed to build each other up and instead of tear each other down. And I think it's important, like reflection question of like for yourself, am I a friend that builds? And am I hanging around people that build me up?
But I feel like there are more layers to that too. Like I agree where it's like, do they build you up? Do they tear you down? But also, are they calling you higher? Are they calling you to work harder? Are they calling you to like be better, to grow closer to God? Or are they just kind of letting you just kind of sit and just kind of be like, I'm trying to think about like not sedimentary,
like complacent,
like just letting you let you sit there and be complacent and be like, that's good enough.
Yeah. We talk about like friendship is not always comfortable.
And you can't be lazy.
Yeah.
It's not lazy.
Well, it's not always comfortable to call a friend higher.
Yeah.
Or
but I feel like that goes in iron sharpens iron.
100%.
And then there's another part that I was thinking about too. I forgot.
Like speaking truth in love.
Yeah.
We've had that conversation a lot because that's not comfortable and that's important.
Maybe it'll come back to me later.
It'll come back to you.
Because you said calling higher. I was talking about like building each other complacent. I don't know.
Not just letting someone.
I don't know. I thought my brain was like
stagnant. Is that the word you're looking for?
Oh no, that point's done and gone with. There is a third point. It's just no longer here.
Okay, it'll come back.
That's okay though.
It'll come back to you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about speaking the truth in love, because I feel like in our culture today, that's an unpopular.
Well,
opinion.
people think being inherently truthful sometimes is not being loving, and I just think that's the contrary to what the Bible says. And I think when you are trying to be loving by not telling the truth or sparing someone's feelings at times, you're hurting them.
Yeah.
But also don't let that, but also there's some people who go to the other extreme and like, well, I'm just being honest. And I'm like, well, actually you're just being a jerk. Yeah. Because you can be honest and still do it in a loving way.
Yeah. Actually wrote that down.
Stab people in the back.
That quote, it's Warren Wiersbe, who was like a Bible teacher, and his quote that like there's lots of different variations of this quote, but it's truth without love is brutality and love without truth is hypocrisy. And I just think that's really good.
It is. Yeah.
I feel like I need to sit in that for a minute. There's lots of noises happening in this basement, but that's fine.
Wait, read the quote again.
Truth without love is brutality, and love without truth is hypocrisy.
Literally perfectly said.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have anything to add to that.
Yeah. Because I feel on the idea of like truth without, or backtrack, love without truth is hypocrisy. Like there's no sincerity in that.
I feel like this goes into like, yeah, I agree. And like accountability and communication, like accountability does not equal calling someone out.
Right.
It's calling someone higher.
Right.
And I feel like
that's good.
I feel like people get that confused. I've gotten that confused before.
For sure.
It's like, okay, yeah, you might be technically the one who's been wronged, but that doesn't give you the authority to be on a high horse.
Yeah.
Because you also wronged someone else before.
And I like the accountability is not only if someone is wrong. Like,
well, even just be like, if you're struggling with something, like, hey, like, let's work on this together. Yeah.
That's so good. Can you say that quote again?
What was it? Oh, about like accountability doesn't equal blah, blah, blah.
Accountability is not calling someone out. It's calling somebody higher. Oh my snaps for that. That's so good.
You must put on a sticker.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to wear that on a hat or on a t-shirt.
Yeah, put on as like a home screen. Actually, yeah.
Yeah. That's so good, dang.
Sorry, just kind of shoved that one up.
Yeah, you did.
Do you have like a personal example of either like when you called someone higher or like when you've stepped in, whatever. You took a misstep and you called someone out rather than higher? Or like a time where someone called you higher or out?
This is kind of a good segue question, actually.
Or just like accountability without aggression, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to take this question and take it with like when I had friends hold me accountable when I was struggling and how they called me higher. And so I was in high school. I really struggled with anxiety and depression. I had an eating disorder and was in and out of treatment. And later episodes, I'm sure I'll go into my testimony more. But I had these two friends in high school that I can remember like the moment like so vividly that we were in the car and I was just really in a low place. And one of the girls said, Ella, will you just let us carry you to Jesus? Will you just let us carry your mat to Jesus?
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember feeling relieved, scared, like all the different emotions when that comes with like letting your guard down and being vulnerable with people. But she was referring to the paralyzed man in Mark 2, where
1 through 12.
Yeah, his four friends like carried his mat to Jesus. And
do you want to flip to it?
Yeah, flip to it. Jesus was in a house preaching, and the crowd was so big that the friends couldn't get the paralyzed man to Jesus, and so they went on the roof and made a hole in the roof and lowered the mat down. But it just was a beautiful metaphor of like, there are times, well, one, community is biblical, like we weren't meant to do life alone. And there are times where like I'm going to be in that low place, and it's going to be so crucial who my friends are, and are they going to call me higher?
Are they? And are they going to carry your mat?
Yeah.
Or are they going to run?
Yeah. And so a great question of like, am I a friend who's going to carry other people's mats? And like, do I have friends that will carry my mat?
Yeah.
But
it's good for reflection. Yeah. I won't read like the entire thing, but it says, and many were gathered there in verse 2, so that there was no more room, not even at the door, and he was preaching the word to them, he being Jesus. And they came, bringing to him a paralytic carried by 4 men. And when they could not get near him because of the crowd, they removed the roof above him. And when they made an opening, they let down the bed on which the paralytic lay. And when Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralytic, Son, your sins are forgiven. Okay, that was in verse 5. I'm going to skip down to verse 10 after the scribes are just being like annoying. So verse 10, but that you may know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins, he says to the paralytic man, I say to you, rise, pick up your bed, and go home. So this man would not have met Jesus. Well, he could have, but he wouldn't have in this circumstance or been able to get into the building and through the crowd without the friends that carried his mat. So yeah, and I feel like your mat can be like, you on your mat can be different things. It can be like your faith. It can be like you struggling. It can even be like, I don't know. I feel like there are multiple things that can be like on your mat.
Yeah. And like, what is a practical way today?
Yeah, like what would it look like today? Like yours was a good example.
Yeah.
Of just like mental struggles.
Yeah. Because sometimes I think carrying your mat to Jesus looks like, hey, Madeline, I'm having a really bad day. Will you just come sit with me?
I'm trying to think of like a good example.
Because there's different like.
There are, because like there's so many different ways you can take this, I feel like. But I even feel like it'd be something simple. Like Elle and I have both done this for each other. Like when one of us are sick, like the other one will just like get a DoorDash other for the other one and just like drop it off. Yeah. So it can be little or it can be like bigger things. But yeah, just kind of like it's good, something good to think about. Like how have you seen that in your life, and like how can you do that for other people? Just kind of like a self-reflection point. And I also just think it goes into like loving your neighbor, like in Mark 12:31. Yeah. And what that looks like. And
that humility and like sacrificial love of like, that was not necessarily fun. Like that was a challenge in that friendship.
A lot of the it's funny because a lot of the things worth having that are worthwhile are not fun.
No, and you have to put in work.
Yes.
Like when I think of friendship, the first word, or like my favorite word, I guess, is intentionality. And we talk about like different seasons with friends, and having the friends that are going to stick by your side through all the different seasons, and showing up and being consistent, and how important that is.
I guess that's what we also mean by unfun friends too.
Yeah.
Because it isn't always most glamorous.
Yeah, it doesn't look pretty all the time.
I also like to think about love too, how it's like in Mark, I think it was 12:31, like loving your neighbor, like it's a commandment. It's not you should do this. It's like you will do this, and it's not convenient at times, but consistency is called for.
Yeah. Where I wrote something down about consistency. Oh, the scripture that I had written by that was Proverbs 17:17. A friend loves at all times, and just like highlighting different beauties and like showing up, because I think even though that's considered ugly or like uncomfortable or not pretty, like there is so much beauty in that.
No, there is. And also feel like in a way community is a way of sanctifying us too. Like even like say you're being like the one iron sharpening the other one. I just feel like it can reveal things like I feel like exposes pride, insecurity, like people pleasing. What else did I say? Isolation too.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a way like of sanctification.
Yeah.
Which I don't really think about a lot.
Right.
You know, as like community of sanctification.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just takes work.
Yeah. Well, it's growing you. It's changing you. It's challenging you. It's convicting.
It is convicting. I don't say like, but also I feel like we're saying how hard it can be to do a Christ-like centered friendship, which it is hard, and which is why you need Christ in it, because you can't do it yourself. But I feel like, what are some of the costs of that? And I'm not saying necessarily saying bad costs, but kind of something where you feel like you have to work a little bit harder at it. Like for me, I feel like patience for sure. Then also being willing to extend grace and to take grace.
Yeah.
Is something like I have to work at.
Yeah.
Like, what about for you, do you think? Like your costs that are like kind of like more things that are harder for you?
Harder for me in friendship?
Like I feel like you're going to have to give more time to have a better friendship, you know? So it's
Yeah.
kind of like trade-offs, I should say, rather than cost.
Yeah. I can be really horrible about being patient.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I know I have a lot of like downfalls in my friendships because I'm not perfect.
Yeah. Or I guess not necessarily things like you struggle with, but just like what are things you've noticed? It's like, okay, I have to give a little bit more of that to like actually have a good friendship that's Christ-centered.
I mean, honestly, intentionality.
Yeah.
Like when life gets busy, am I being consistent? Am I showing up for my friends?
Yeah.
And like that can look different like in busy seasons.
It can.
As far as like time spent together.
Yes.
But there can still be like quality showing up for somebody.
I agree.
Even when your schedules don't.
I mean, it can be something simple as like texting, like, hey, how are you like actually doing? And
Yeah.
like being willing to like respond to that. I feel like that was going into, we were talking earlier about how friendships, sometimes people are like, it has to be 50-50. I feel like at times it's going to be 50-50, but I don't think it's realistic for it always to be 50-50.
Yeah. Well, and it's also like this topic within friendship is, I feel like, is really important to me. And I put it under the umbrella of like carrying one another's burdens. Of like, you're right, it's not always going to be 50-50. And when it's 90-10 or whatever, I'm losing my words because like that's not easy, but that is going to happen in friendships.
Just because
it's going to happen in
sometimes
relationships.
You're going to be hit with a lot because we're in a sinful world, and I feel like it might be you or it might be your other friend, but sometimes they're not going to have 50% to give. Yeah.
Well, let me approach it from a different, because friendships a lot today, I feel like are approached with convenience. Like, what are you giving me?
Yes.
And when you're the one having to give, when it's 90-10 or whatever, we're so quick to be like, oh, that person isn't a good friend. And maybe this isn't a friendship that I should steward or pursue.
But I'm like, if it's always like that, yes. But if it's not always like that, something else is underlying that needs to be looked into.
Well, it's like when I'm I just smashed the microphone. When I'm struggling or when I'm not okay, or like, you know, when something comes up, a difficult circumstance, and I only have like 10 to give, we're called to do that in our friendships, and we're called to stick those seasons out. And I feel like that's like the core of carrying one another's burdens. But we did talk about, we wanted to touch on like,
well, so that's where like communication comes in too.
Right.
I don't know if that's where you were going, but.
Well, no, but I mean, I think that's a good.
No, but still, like, where were you going? I
was going to like the 1 Corinthians 13 passage can you be used in a manipulative way of like, well, you should just forgive me, or like love endures all things. And I think there's a point when it like comes to abuse or like manipulation or different scenarios where maybe that's not a friendship or a relationship that you steward, and how that is loving to set that boundary.
Yeah, setting boundaries can be loving. I feel like we're going to do a whole other episode on like forgiveness, and then another one on, I think, like boundaries and accountability. Because side tangent, boundaries can be great, but they can also be weaponized so easily. So I feel like it's a very sticky conversation.
Well, I feel like that's where the convenience things come in. If like, oh, this person isn't like,
good for my mental health.
It's not 50-50, like that's toxic, I'm just going to cut it off. And it's like, no, that's not
but it's
what a biblical friendship looks like.
Right, it's true. Like if it's always been like that, okay, maybe, but typically that's not the case.
Well, then I feel like that would be a situation where the other person is just using you. Like if it's a one-way street and there's not like something to that, then sure.
But I feel like it's a real friendship. Like I feel like this is an hours, like a pendulum where it will swing one way and then it'll swing back and kind of find its middle, swing, you know, and it's always kind of like shifting. And I feel like that's what realistically a friendship's going to look like, as far as like effort to give based off of seasons of life and just kind of like what you're juggling.
That's good. And that's where like intentionality and consistency comes in.
Also putting yourself second, and also for me, at least for me, patience, and again like grace and mercy, like being willing to give and accept it.
And humility.
Yeah, humility
that's
as well.
Something that's big on that I need to grow in, of like it's not easy when I'm maybe in a season where I'm giving 90 and the other person's giving 10, but like to be humble in that, like, this is the season of our friendship right now, and like how can I steer that well? How can I be loving? How can I give more? How can I serve more? And how can I be okay with that? Because Christ does that for me on a daily basis.
And thankfully we can go to Christ with that. Like we can talk to him about that. I feel like if you're struggling in that time, you're like, Lord, like you're my friend too. Like also like you're my father, you're sovereign, all the things, but like he's also like our friend. And I feel like we can be like, hey, I'm struggling with this, and like carrying the extra 90, like can you help me carry this like 90?
Absolutely. Well, he tells
he already
us,
does, but I feel like it's even good to like acknowledge that he does.
What's the scripture when he says, give me your burdens
and I'll give you, I feel like that's multiple
bring to
times.
Me your burdens and I will give you rest.
We literally read it this morning at church, like as our opening.
Well, and I feel like that's important too, of like your friendships coming as an overflow of God's love, of like I get to love you well even when it's difficult, because
that's because I have such a great example of someone who's done it for me.
So I was listening to this song and it actually made me cry, and it was talking about like Jesus as God's empathy to us, and it says, the lyric was something along the lines of like, Jesus came to walk in my shoes and he still washed my feet, of like he knows and understands everything we're walking through, and we're so broken, and yet he still washed my feet, and like how can I do that for other people?
I feel like we haven't done this necessarily, like, I've not washed someone's feet. Unless I'm, like, babysitting and, like, it's, like, my little, like, the little kiddos. But, I feel like an example that would be when I was with Ella and then another friend that's been in our small group 2 times with us, Chloe. We all hung out just for a little bit because Chloe was having a great day. I think we were all kind of having, like, off days. And we're like, okay, let's just go get dinner together, like, in the day good. And we ended up going to hang out at Ella's after. And we all just kind of shared our testimonies and kind of, like, passed them around. And just talked about it, and it's not always pretty, but we were just talking about it, and like you could tell there's a little bit of nervousness and like somewhat embarrassment, like sharing certain things.
That like fear of judgment, fear of the shame. It's really the shame.
And but I think the cool theme was like after everyone shared their testimonies and we were kind of talking to each other about it, we're like, you know what, like that just makes me love you more to like see like where you've been, how God's redeemed you, like how you're growing now. It literally doesn't make me view any different. I just understand you more and I love you more because of it. And I just thought that was such a beautiful example of a Christ-like friendship. Oh, and like that's so something that will stick with me. I feel like.
Just another way of calling each other higher, of like, that's your story and I'm honored to be able to hold that. And the being able to say, I just love you more.
I like it's been encouraging to me because I think like in high school I was very, very quiet. I didn't speak very much, so it's kind of ironic I have a podcast now because it's like, what you doing? But I feel like the Lord worked in my life and I was convicted through friends like Ella and just like other friends in my life and just mentors, like my family too, where I was just very quiet and I didn't really share God's working in my life. Like I would always like I would worship God and like I would talk about God, but not necessarily make it personal where I was expressing like God specifically working in X in my life, because it's just that I was like, it's in my life, and I had to like change my mentality. She's laughing at the people.
So sorry, guys. It's like elephants upstairs. I truly don't understand what's going on.
So my testimony. Oh, I'm kidding. So just basically like just that. It's not necessarily my story. It's God's story that he's given me, and it's him working through me and being willing to surrender that and just kind of be like, okay, I don't think I'm going to tell everybody all my business. Again, ironic because here I am. But I'm not going to tell everyone my business that I see. But if I feel called and I feel like the Lord's prompting me to share something, it's not really my prerogative, or is that the right one? It's not really my story to hide because God gave it to me, and I don't know why I would want to hide his works. But that's something I had to learn, and I was convicted about.
Because vulnerability is hard, and I feel like I've been there too, of like, oh, I can't share this. I can't tell my story.
It's like, but why?
And it's like,
it's hard.
Keeping a mask on is harder than taking it off, but there's so much fear in taking it off. And I think that comes from like the place of shame or judgment, or because there is such a pressure of perfection.
Mm-hmm.
But letting that wall down is so freeing. And like I can remember like
And
when
also like ripping it away gives you room to grow.
Yes, absolutely.
You can't grow with something if you're holding on to it like this.
Yeah.
Like, where is it going to go?
Well, and like true freedom, at least for me, but I know I think in general, like true freedom came from letting go and tearing down the walls. And it's also like that's where like true authentic connection came from.
Yeah.
Like I could not have the relation, or I would not have the relationships I have today if I had that wall up.
Mm-hmm.
But like I wrote this question down. What or why is there a temptation to have a mask on? Even if you've already taken the mask off, like is there a temptation to put it back on, and why?
Because we don't want to admit that we're not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the only reason.
Right.
But I don't think we want to admit to ourselves and other people that we're not perfect or we don't control. I think it stems from us wanting to not admit we don't control.
Right. Well, I know that is a daily struggle for me of laying down control.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, it's for me too. And I kind of had like I don't say breakthrough, but I kind of had a breakthrough the other day because I was driving to school, and like after I said this in my head, or just I might have said it out loud because I was just in my car by myself, but I was just like, praise be to God that I am not in control, because my life would be horrible. And at the time I was like, yeah, period, that's so true. And then I was like, wait, like that's actually huge, because I never thought I would have said that. And I actually meant it, and like I do mean it. And that's purely credits to God for working in my heart to where I could actually finally like let go of that like control and anxiety and be like, thank you for being in control and not making me do it.
Yeah.
Because I would make such a mess.
Yeah.
I have.
Oh, for sure. Well, and that's why there's like such beauty in such broken testimonies, is like because we do have a redeemer. And what an incredible story to get to tell of like, this is where I was and this is who saved me. And the beauty of being able to say like, I am weak, I am not strong, but because of his strength, like my story is renewed. And I think that's why our testimonies are so powerful.
I think so too.
Because it's just pointing to him.
This might be a weird connection. I don't know why my brain's making this, but in like on the term, like vein of like friendship, and then also us kind of talking about like what a gift it is that God's forgiven us and been so patient with us. I'm thinking like I struggle with being patient and like being openly forgiving at times. Like, you know, Jesus had his 12 disciples, and he also had Judas, and he knew what Judas was going to do the entire time he was friends with him. And I struggle to understand how he had them at that Last Supper and like had Judas hanging around them the whole time without just like losing his mind, because I couldn't do that.
Yeah. I'm not going to be able to go on until I can share this funny story. Just
okay,
right
go.
quick. I saw this like meme or whatever, and it was Jesus like at the Last Supper, and it said, it was like Jesus handing Judas the turkey, and it was like, here, Judas, you carve the turkey since you know how to stab people in the back. And I was like, oh my god.
No, okay,
I'm sorry, but in all seriousness,
no, but that's good though. I love like Bible AI where it's like, hey guys, I'm Noah and I'm here on the ark, and then like the Elvis back like,
yeah, that was an elephant noise.
Yeah. You do yours.
Sorry.
Anyways, you can see like you can see the vision, okay? And you have like the rainbow over the back. It was really silly. Or just like, this is a side tangent, guys.
Yeah, side tangent. No, but
this was funny because the Lord is sassy, and I live for it. Because people say the Lord's not funny. Yes, he is. Yeah. Because I'm in a Bible study right now with women of the Bible, and we were going over Sarah. And it was where she was like eavesdropping when the Lord was talking to Abraham in the tent about like her having a kid. And she was like outside laughing. And then the Lord came out and he was like, why do you laugh, Sarah? And she was like, I didn't laugh. And he goes, but you did laugh. And I was like,
yeah.
Anyways, back to the regular
his humor too of like in waiting seasons. Like, okay, I had a friend who she was unemployed as a single mom, unemployed for 6 months. And literally like the week before her like unemployment benefits were gonna like run out, she got a job, and like a good one. And it was like this whole time like we knew that the Lord was gonna provide, but you can't help as a human to be so stressed and so fearful of like, what is life gonna, I mean, she was fully prepared to like, she and her daughter to live in their car. Like she was preparing for that. And there was this one, she got her job and it just was like, oh my gosh, thank you, Lord. I was like, you're hilarious. Like you knew the entire time she was going to get this job.
Yeah.
And you had her wait till the last second. Ha 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 ha. It's not funny, but like.
It's a little silly.
It's a little silly.
I know he's up there giggling at us sometimes, like freaking
because
out.
He's up there and he's like, would you just rest in my plane for you?
He's like, what a loser. Like, sit down.
Just rest. No, I cannot
it's
be
not
still.
that
I
deep.
work so hard.
I know.
That is something I have to grow in.
I know.
It's so hard. But that's just another idea of like control.
Yeah. So back to Judas. What do you think about that?
Well, I wrote this down too because it was like what Jesus' relationship with the 12 disciples can teach us about friendship.
Yeah.
And like with Judas and then with Peter. Like Peter was in his inner, so I kind of broke it down like
perfect.
The different levels of closeness with Jesus. Like he had the crowds, like those could be considered acquaintances. Mm-hmm. He had the 72, like his wider community, the 12. But then even in the 12 disciples, he had the 3 that he brought with him in his agony to the Garden of Gethsemane. I can never say it right. But he brought, I can't remember, Peter was one of those 3. Peter was also the one that denied Jesus when he was going to the cross. Mm-hmm. And it talked about, what did I write down? Just the idea of forgiveness, of like the way Jesus responded to Peter's denial was just this gentle, like Peter denied Jesus 3 times and Jesus gave him 3 opportunities to say, I love you. Mm-hmm. And it was like, am I doing that well in my friendships? Like, obviously there's a time and a place where if I'm hurt in forgiving and giving the benefit of the doubt, if it just leads to me being hurt over and over again, then okay, like boundaries need to be set. But there are times when we don't want to forgive because forgiveness is so hard. Mm-hmm. And are we doing it anyways? Yeah. But then at the same time with Judas, for Jesus to know that was going to happen and for it it was going to send him to the cross. Yeah.
I think it's because he knew the larger story, the redemption story. But still, I feel like that's something I wasn't asking to be like, oh, I have a perfect answer. Like, I don't have an answer to it, so I'm generally just curious. Yeah. Because I wouldn't be able to love
it's also
the way
like,
Jesus did.
There may be people we know don't have good intentions or aren't going to be good friends or even acquaintances. How are we treating them anyways? Like, if I see them in passing, am I going to be a total jerk or am I going to be loving? That doesn't mean that they have to be my friend.
I feel like I try to acknowledge their existence, but I don't really associate.
Right.
But I still feel like I could do love better.
Yeah. I mean, we all can.
Yeah.
But I think you can acknowledge their existence and not be loving. Not be the extent to it. Like, it doesn't mean you have to bring them into your inner circle. Judas wasn't in Jesus's inner circle.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, well, since we're talking about like the levels of circles and friends, can you go over like the tree metaphor that you were telling me about the other day?
Yes, that was so good. The tree metaphor. It was talking about different seasons of life and like friends who are the leaves and like the wind comes.
Wait, can we just talk about the like? Have y'all heard the running joke where it's like, you know, you're a Christian or like with the Christian people and they like start throwing around seasons. So I'm just in like a hard season. I'm just in a really fulfilling season.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
anyways,
for sure.
Back to the trees.
To the tree metaphor. So you have your friends that are like the leaves, like the second, like the wind comes, like those friends are blown away.
Kind of easily, it's kind of like flooded.
Yeah. And then you've got like the branches and those are more sturdy, but like they can still be like broken off the tree by like the wind and the rain. Mm-hmm. But then you've got the roots and it's like no matter what storm comes, like they're roots. Around. And I think I saw it in a reel, like that metaphor, and I sent it to you. And I was like, thank you for being my root.
Same.
But talking about different seasons, and that's just something that's so hard for me, is like change and transition in friendships. Like there are friendships that are for a season, and that's so hard for me.
Yeah, and we can go into like grieving friendships because I feel like that's so real and people don't like to talk about it.
Yeah. But it's also like those friends, when I was telling a story about the friend in high school who said, Ella, just let us carry your mat to Jesus. We haven't talked in years. Mm-hmm. And like those were deep friendships that got me through such a hard season.
Yeah. Yes.
And in this season, they're not like in my inner circle. And so I can acknowledge like and have so much gratitude and love for that. And also there be grief that we're not close anymore.
I also feel like sometimes the Lord does that so you can make room for like new ones, but it still doesn't make it any less hard.
Yeah.
Should we go and just dive into that, grieving and friendships?
Yeah. Let's do it.
I just feel like that happens a lot, especially this age of life where it's like you're shifting to college and you're getting out of like your childhood homes, like you're moving away. So I feel like there's a lot more of that. But I also feel like I struggle the most when it's like there's not even like a specific reason. Like you can't really say like, oh, something went wrong here. It's just distant.
Yeah.
And no one did anything wrong. It just happened. And I feel like that's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like when you have like a song stuck in your head, it's because your brain's trying to remember what lyrics next. So that's why you have the one section stuck. Yeah. I feel like that's what your brain's doing for that friendship. It's like, okay, but like,
what's next?
There was no like kind of like finality to it. Yeah. It just kind of fizzled. Yeah. And I feel like that's uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's hard. Like there's a lot of grief in that. And in my like therapy and treatment, I learned so much about how like grief is not just when there's like a loss of a person. Yeah. It could be loss of an expectation, like loss of
experience,
closeness, like, loss of different things.
I feel like you even grieve like plans you thought you would have,
yes,
like that you had, and like it just didn't come.
And we'll talk about that like in other later episodes of like grieving expectations and things that didn't go the way you thought they would. But it's so true for friendships of like, oh, I thought this person would be in my wedding, like we don't talk anymore. Yeah. And like you said, like it wasn't because it ended in like some horrible friend breakup. It's just that.
But it just kind of hurts. Like I feel like you feel like the pit in your stomach, and you're just kind of like, oh.
Yeah. Well, and that's in this another opportunity for like joy and grief to coexist, which is so uncomfortable.
Yeah, because it's paradoxical.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Oh, and then also I was trying to say like, so say when something does go wrong and you're grieving, how is this like the best way to heal from that without villainizing the other person? Or like actively villainizing them? Because like say like maybe either like in this example, let's say like you were wronged, even though we all been in the position where we've wronged someone else. But it's like in this example, you've been wronged. How are you going to try to heal in a Christ-like way without like actively like villainizing the other person?
Oh my gosh! Did you just wake up and remember that you were part of the podcast?
Hi.
Can you hear her tail?
I can, yeah.
This is something I'm working on currently because there are 2 high school friendships that ended in a really hurtful, like negative way. And it's still hard for me to go back to like my high school, like hometown or whatever, and not feel like hurt from that. And there wasn't, at least on my end, like closure and like why it ended the way it ended. And it's really painful for me to remember all of our incredible memories all throughout high school and then just be struck with like how painful the ending was.
Yeah.
And how I felt. And obviously I can't speak for them because I know that I wasn't perfect in these friendships, but how I felt like I was stabbed in the back, for a lack of a better term. In processing like how I'm approaching that, because in my brokenness, I want to be ugly and I want to be mean about it because it was hurtful.
It's easier and it's a way of protection.
And so it's like, how can I love them and like want what's best for them? We talk about like this in our small group all the time. How do you love someone when it's hard, it's hard to love them? I don't have an answer for that.
I don't either. I feel like it's something like I'm still growing at.
Yeah, like all I can do is be like, Lord, this is so hard and I don't want to
like, you can ask the Holy Spirit to intercede. Yeah. Like you can. And I feel like what I try to do is try to remember like what were the certain characteristics I loved about them that like made me their friend in the first place.
Yeah.
And just try to focus on like, okay, like, yeah, things were tainted and they went bad, but like I do admire this about them, even if that's like the only nice thing I can say.
Yeah. Well, and even just being like, I want what's best.
Or just being like, God made them, that's enough.
Yeah. Well,
that sounds terrible. But you know, like I'm just saying, like, say someone like really does something bad to you, and you'd be like, okay, well, like they're made in God's, like that's what I mean. Like they're made in God's image, and like that's enough of a reason as to why I should love them. That's what I meant when I first said that. That sounded very.
No, I know what you meant, but yeah, it just made me chuckle. But
chuckle.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Because you know, when like someone does something to you, like an actual friend, and you're just joking around, and you're like, I hope you stub your toe today.
Yes.
You know when you like do those and it's like funny, but there are more serious circumstances where you're like, I hope that person drops their lunch. I mean, I don't know.
That was real mean, guys.
I can be.
Go drop your butt.
You know I can be.
I know.
You know.
Yeah. We can all be sassy. Or feisty.
I mean, I feel like when I'm the most mean, it's coming from a place of hurt. And so I'm so challenged, like truthfully, I'm so challenged in how can I be loving when I've been hurt.
Yeah, it's I feel like it's one of the hardest things to do. If y'all have tips, let us know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oof, that's one we're just going to constantly, like back to the beginning when I said like love, being loving and being a good friend, like that's a muscle. You have to grow it, you have to work at it, and you have to practice it for it to get bigger. And that's a part of this muscle that I have to grow. Like I have to practice.
Okay, so sometimes there's something I've struggled with. Sorry, just like completely just like.
No, you're fine.
It connects. But like something I feel like I struggle with sometimes is like in the past, I feel like I've been a lot better about this. But like, how do you tell the difference between a season of friendship ending versus okay, a conversation just needs to happen and this thing we can get through? Like, how do you kind of like differentiate or like discern between that? Like, do you think it's like after you try to have a conversation? Or like where do you think you draw the line, or do you think it's more circumstantial?
Yeah, well, sometimes I feel like it easily and naturally kind of just fizzles out, but then I do think there are other times where like if you're feeling like this tension or like this
unfinished kind of
or like if you're feeling like in a friendship it's harder to maintain, like I do think like initiating conversation or like having to be really intentional in pursuing a friendship is worth it. And it may get to the point where it's just like, okay, like I'm the only one doing this. Like it's just getting to the point where if I don't initiate something, nothing is going to be initiated.
Yeah.
Then maybe that's just kind of a
season ending. That's fair. I like that's something I have to be more intentional about just with myself is like before I'm like, okay, I'm just going to like drop my stuff and go. Like, cause it's getting a little bit like angsty, just kind of remembering, okay, like sit there, discern, have a conversation, give it a chance.
Yeah.
And then kind of just like see what happens.
Yeah. I think you kind of let time and intentionality and bring it to the Lord, like tell you how it's going to go. Because I don't like the phrase only time can tell, but sometimes. Yeah.
I feel like that's just the Lord giving you discernment when that happens. Okay, so I think we should acknowledge or like things we've learned from us being a bad friend. Because we've all been there.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, I kind of like mentioned it, but just like I used to be horrible about communicating well and doing accountability both ways. Like I was like, I like to say I wasn't expecting mind reading, but like, yeah, I was expecting like mind reading. Because it'd be kind of like, why don't you know? Like you're obviously like, this is hurtful, or like you're not giving me like what I need in a friendship. Well, you didn't tell anybody. So it's like, why would they know?
Yeah.
I feel like I would also be overly like people pleasing to the point of burning myself out, and I'd blame other people. But I'm also like, okay, well, it's kind of your fault because again, you're not communicating. Which would be like emotional withdrawal and burnout. Yeah, so I feel like mine's a lot is like I just have to learn to be very intentional about communicating even when I don't want to, and I think accountability and making sure I don't let things like pile up, like bump under the rug, and make sure I like do my maintenance, clean it, and also like leave the room for the other person to do the same and not to be defensive. So like really working on that and being like, okay, it's gonna be hard and awkward, but you just got to do it. So like I've learned that, and when I haven't done that in the past, I have probably contributed to like friendships ending because I was not doing my due diligence as a friend of giving the other person a chance to like fix things, and also me being willing to fix things, not being defensive. So I feel like that's what I've learned from not being a good friend. Like one of the things.
I think one of my biggest lessons is like I need to be quick to apologize. And like who am I to let my pride say that I don't need to?
Yeah, that's fair.
You know? But I think that goes under like the communication and the importance of communicating when something feels off, or like you or the other person have done something. I feel like this isn't as much like being wrong and not being a good friend, but along the lines of like a weakness I have in relationships, period, is like putting myself like, I'm just going to like kind of word vomit and then we can go from there.
Okay.
But like being servant-hearted and wanting to serve other people to the point of my own detriment. And how I need to be better about
like the people pleasing and the burnout.
Because we're both recovering people pleasers.
Recovering people pleasers, guys. That's also how we bonded, is because I feel like you could be a toxic people pleaser.
Yeah, well, I can serve
It's like a little bomb,
to the point.
Time bomb.
Yeah, and like this is not me bragging myself because
No.
And we talked about this, like one of your greatest strengths of how you can be so
I'm a firm believer in
compassionate
that.
and so empathetic is also my greatest downfall
Yeah.
of like
Your greatest strength, guys, if you think about it, is also your greatest weakness.
when you're not in a
Because it's
healthy
such
place.
a potent characteristic about you to where it can either
Mhm.
be like too much at times or like
Mhm.
perfect at other times. Anyways, but yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Continue.
That's just maybe something of like, in order for me to be a good friend, I have to check myself of like, do I need to take a step back because I'm pleasing or serving to the point where I'm not taking care of myself? And if I'm not taking care of myself, then I cannot love well. So it's like that two-way of like,
and you don't want like the secret blame in a way to like grow against the other person when it's like not necessarily their fault.
Right. Yeah, because that lack of boundaries can build resentment.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like bitterness. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I can relate to that as well.
Friendships can be hard, man.
They can be.
But it's like the greatest part of my life when you think about it. Like that's what gets me out of bed in the morning.
Okay, what are some green flags we see in friends?
Green flags.
Like, I think of things like consistency, accountability, dependability, faith, like how you love well, honesty.
Intentionality, it's my favorite word. I'll come back to that one every time.
I think like steadfast, humor. I love humor. Like that's obviously not the most important, but it helps.
Yeah.
What are other green flags?
Celebrating.
I like that.
Like I love a good like. I mean, there's intentionality in that. Like something went well for you, like we're gonna celebrate that. But also being able to switch to sitting with each other in the lows. But I'm a big advocate for like celebrating the little things. Like, I don't know, someone struggling with depression, you took a shower today, I'm gonna bake you a cake. Like you took a shower. Like little things like that, like I think are important.
The details really matter. They really matter.
Yeah. Authenticity in the details, I think, is a huge green flag. That is important to me to do for other people. I agree. For sure.
Authenticity for sure. I think I've like really clearly come to value like open and clear communication. Like if you're mad, tell me and I'll respect you more.
Yeah. That's good.
I really will.
Yeah. Well, you have to be able to talk about it to get through it.
It honestly makes me feel safer if someone's like, I'm mad at you. And I'm like, okay, well, you were felt safe enough to say that to me.
Yeah.
And obviously care enough to like try to fix it. So like, great, let's do it.
Yeah. I feel like we've talked about a lot about friendship, but we've both been at a point in our lives where we felt super lonely and we didn't have friends. How can we encourage, like what encouragement do you have for someone who is waiting on good friends?
First thing comes to mind is do not compromise. Don't compromise because the Lord has a specific plan for you and your friends. So like don't compromise
on yourself.
I also feel like don't shrink yourself either. Just because I feel like my solution I felt like when I didn't have friends is like I can make myself more appealable. That does not help. Because you're not going to find your people that way. Because you're essentially, by making yourself more appealable, you're just changing who God made you to be. And you're not going to find your people, and you're just going to feel like you're going to be lonely in a crowd. Yeah. Which is very, very real. Because there's a difference between being included and being known. And when you're just making yourself more appealable, at that point, okay, you might be included, but you're not being known. Yeah. And it's also not fair to the other people, too, because you're not giving them, like, a real, like, experience, like, your friendship. And, like, how God wired you to be a good friend with the strengths he gave you. So that's kind of, like, the two things that come to mind. Yeah. But I wrote down 2 scriptures that, like, I clung to in like my season of waiting for a friend, and one was like God sees the desire of my heart. In Psalm 37:4 says, delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. And it's like when you're delighting yourself in the Lord that you're finding your joy and your satisfaction in him. And when you're doing that, like your desires become shaped by his desires for you. And like community and wanting good friendships, like that's a holy desire. We're called to community and fellowship. It's biblical. And then Psalm 84:11 says, no good thing does he withhold from those who walk upright. And so I think in that same sense of like delighting in the Lord and like resting in him and trusting his plan, even when that's really hard and doesn't necessarily feel like safe. Yeah. It's like, why am I trying to rush something that I know he's preparing me for? But I feel like you said, it's okay to acknowledge that verse can be a little bit hard to hear sometimes.
For sure. Well, because I think we can use it
but
as
just because
like,
it's hard to hear doesn't mean it's true.
Right.
It isn't true is what I mean.
Yeah. And then knowing that like he's in the waiting season, how he's renewing my strength.
And also he's using it to shape you. Like I feel like I can look back and see how he used it to shape me, to know him more. I think he used it for me to get closer to my family, to kind of figure out my hobbies, what I'm good at, kind of like what the trajectory he wanted me to go on.
Yeah.
One thing I wish I would have done is have been more open instead of just becoming so like annoyed with it and just being like, okay, fine, well then I'm just not going to even try anymore. Don't do that. That's so dumb.
Yeah.
I did that.
Because you can be proactive. Ridiculous. Being proactive in your waiting.
Yes. So definitely do that. Stay open, don't be bitter.
Yeah. And we in the small group, I think this was a small group you weren't able to come to, but we were talking about like how can you put yourself out there and like be active in making friends, even in the face of like being fearful of rejection or knowing that you might like they might not be a good friend or like be a close friend. Like how do you continue like having that willingness to put yourself out there if maybe time and time again you've been met with like a door slammed in your face?
I think I had to change my mentality. It's kind of like, okay, if that one doesn't work out, I'm just one step closer to the one that will. And just kind of like, I don't know.
And I think it comes back to like,
and honestly gives you more peace knowing, because you don't have to sit there and like overthink it and be like, what if.
Right. And I think it comes back to like the not compromising on yourself.
Yeah.
Like, because it was so easy for me to be like, okay, I'm the problem. Like, why? What is wrong with me? And instead, I wish I would have done better was to grow in myself and grow in my relationship with the Lord and my identity in him, and to be solid in that. And I'm not saying that as like it's going to make the waiting season like easier. Like it's hard to be lonely.
But I also feel like with your mentality, you can use it to grow your faith. Okay, when I say this, obviously use discernment and don't be delusional. But I feel like sometimes when a friendship doesn't work out, or like one that you're like, oh, I thought like we were going to be great friends and you're just not. Sometimes that might be the Lord protecting your heart, or him just being like, hey, wait, I have something better for you. Because he knows more than we do. But obviously, like if like maybe like there's something that wasn't like great happening, like I don't want to be like, the Lord is protecting your heart. Like maybe like it's just you were being mean. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But you get what I'm saying though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think remembering first, like Jesus is my friend. And I wrote this down as like, God uses waiting to make your heart ready for the blessing he's preparing. And before you ever sit in a room with people who get you, you already have a friend who never misreads you, never forgets you, never leaves you out, always delights in you, and always invites you close.
And that's true. And he knows us more than we know ourselves, so he knows the friends that we need more than we do. Because there are friendships that I thought I really wanted and needed in the past where I'm like, nope, that would not be good in the long term, in the long run. That was not. I thought that was what I wanted and what was good, but the Lord knew, and praise be to him that he protected me from that. Or like turned my eyes somewhere else.
Yeah. And just remembering that he's a loving father who wants what's best for us. And going back to that, like he's not withholding.
We were talking about that today. We were talking about Exodus and like how we parted the Red Sea, because we're at my church, we're going through Exodus. And there was a point where he was talking about how God doesn't want us to get brokenhearted. And the Israelites were just upset, and they're kind of like, you should have just left us in Egypt, better to die there than here in the wilderness, or like stuff. But he didn't want them to go towards, I think it was the Philistines, I believe, because they were a war-hearted people, and he knew if the Israelites encountered the Philistines by like going around the other way to escape Egypt, that they would have been struck with war and heartache and discouragement and just being broken down and weary. And the Lord tries to protect us from that, which is why like they were kind of like, well, dude, we're going through a sea, like what? But he knew what the alternative was. So even if what you're going through is hard, he might have, or he knows an alternative that would have been worse, and he probably steered you away from that with good reason.
Yeah. And remembering what's coming.
Yes, remember what's coming, guys, always. Eyes upward, not down.
Yeah. But I feel like this conversation of friendship, I mean, it's what started the podcast, the premise of the podcast, and I know we'll continue to
I feel like it's going to be an ongoing theme, but I feel like we just
ongoing conversation, for sure.
Is there anything you want to add before we close with 1 Corinthians 13? Because I fear that this has probably gone on for a long time.
I know. I mean, I don't think so. I know it'll be an ongoing conversation, but just...
yeah.
I don't know, wanting to keep it real, keep it vulnerable,
Yes.
and go from there.
Okay, wait. I did remember what I wanted to talk about earlier. So, like, flashbacks, like, a while ago when we were talking about iron sharpens iron and kind of like you are who you hang around.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention, like, I feel like some people think about that in terms of, like, if someone's, like, partaking in, like, bad activities, like, you're going to do that too, blah, 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 blah. People don't like to admit that that also accounts with attitude. So, like, if you're hanging around people all the time with, like, a victim mentality, thinking the world's out to get them, or just, like, angry and mad all the time, like, that's going to rub off on you too, and that's who you're going to be. And by you, I mean me, because I've been there, and I think remembering that attitude is also who you are, who you hang around.
Yeah.
And, like, mindset too.
Yeah. Going back to calling you higher. How are you being loving?
Okay, let me find so we can close. Okay. And I'm gonna read it in with this 1 Corinthians 13 with the stitch verses. So, like, that's the one where it's like 12:31 and then 13 through 14:1. Just because, like, those are the stitch verses in for 13.
Yeah.
Okay, starting in verse 31. But earnestly desire the higher gifts, and I will show you a still more excellent way. If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. If I give away all I have, and if I deliver up my body to be burned, but have not love, I gain nothing. Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. As for prophecies, they will pass away. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part, but when the perfect comes, the partial will pass away. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I gave up childish ways. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I have been fully known. So now faith, hope, and love abide, these three, but the greatest of these is love. Pursue love and earnestly desire the spiritual gifts, especially that you may prophesy. Okay. Amen. We love you guys. And thanks for sticking with us for episode 1.
Yeah. We'll see you for episode 2.
Bye.